Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our June webinar training. This month, we put our focus on inventory alerts. So here's a quick look at what will be covered in today's training. We're going to look at what an inventory alert is, how to get access and subscribe to receive alert email notifications as they expire, how to create, edit, and complete inventory alerts, and last, we'll look at the reports available for inventory alerts. As always, our free monthly training calls are recorded. Please feel free to send any questions through the chat, and Tracy, my associate, will be able to answer them. So what is an inventory alert? So inventory alerts are automated notifications that's triggered by defined parameters set by you, the user, for an equipment or inventory record. So for example, low stock alerts are automatically triggered by the system when a consumable drops below the minimum threshold that's set within the record. Now, there is no limit on the number of alerts that can be set for an equipment or inventory record, and it's done within the equipment record itself, as you can see here in the screen. So how does one get access? So to create and manage inventory alerts, the organization must be subscribed to asset management. Once you're subscribed, the user must be assigned both the Salamander Live and asset management products within their security user account. And then they also have to be assigned a role with permissions to the equipment list and equipment alerts. Now, these roles include any of the administrator role and the equipment management role, as you can see in this screenshot. So how do you subscribe to receive inventory alert notifications? So once an inventory alert expires, an email notification will be sent out to users on the account who have subscribed to receiving alert emails. So this is done by logging into Salamander Live and then clicking on your profile at the top right. And then going in there, there's an area called active subscriptions. I apologize, it's hidden underneath here. But you can click the edit button, and that's where you can select the option. So you can choose my primary organization only or all alerts. So my primary organization, this is going to allow you to receive alert notifications for just the organization which you're assigned to. So in this case, this person, Tanner Packman, would only see alert notifications that are expiring for Moose County Emergency Management. If you choose all alerts, they'll be for the entire organization. So that's for all organizations that your user, has access to. And of course, you can choose to unsubscribe, which means that you won't receive any of the notifications. So the email notification is sent once a day in the early morning, approximately 4 a.m. Eastern, and will only include alerts that have expired for that day. The email only acts as a notice, so you as the user, you're going to need to log into Salamander Live to act on the expired alert. So we'll walk through that process here. So again, to go back through what I just talked about with access, I'm just going to go into the security user section for those that may be newer to Salamander Live. Left menu, you need to have administrator access and permissions to manage security users to do this. So once you're subscribed, all you're going to do is go into the security user, or you can create a new one if you need to create a new user. And under the security user details, you can go underneath products, and that's where you're going to see all the products in which you have been subscribed to. So Salamander Live, once you subscribe to Salamander Live and you select the contract here, it will open up all the other items underneath here. So if you choose none and click change, you'll see that this right here, it negates all the other options. So you can't do any of that right there. So you just want to make sure that you click Salamander Live. It opens up the other products. So asset management. So assign both of the contracts there. Click Save Changes. From there, you just have to have a role that allows you to manage your equipment list and the alert list. So all the roles, in this case, it's going to be any of the administrator roles. I know this is not in order. It used to be in alphabetical order, and it will be in our next release here. Somehow it got mixed matched in here. But any of the administrator roles that you'll see in here, including the equipment management role. So if you're unsure, you can always select it from here and then click the info button. When you click the info button, you're going to see the role details pop-up window. So then what you're going to look for is these two right here, equipment lists and equipment alerts. They should be um, check marked across the board, and then equipment alerts should be check marked across except for printing. So this fifth button right here is just for printing, which you don't print equipment alerts. So that is roles and access. For subscribing, that is done by each user. So the user themselves has to subscribe to receive the emails. So once you're logged in, all you need to do is click on your username, top right, click on profile. This will take you into your user profile where you can go in and verify your email, verify your phone number if you want to. But you'll see that the fourth option is active subscriptions. From here, click the edit button. And then from here, you'll see here it says notify me by email when alerts expire. You have your three options. So the default is unsubscribed. And then of course you have the my primary or only or all alerts. Again, it's going off of the organization in which you are assigned to. Okay. So in this case, I'm assigned to SalamanderLive training. So that's what I'm going to receive all alerts for is if I select that organization. Or if I choose all accounts, or sorry, all alerts, it'll be for the entire account. Okay, so you got the account at the top here. All right, so that's subscribing. Next here, I'm going to walk you through on where you're going to find the inventory alerts. So that is all done through the equipment database. So I'm going to scroll up left menu to the equipment database. As you know, if you worked with inventory before, this is where you would go in and manage all your inventory records. So it includes both fixed assets and consumables. Within here, so you can create a new record by clicking the plus button. You're going to see that none of the information in here is about creating alerts. Okay, so the creation of the alert happens once the record has been created. So we're going to go into an actual record. We're going to take a look at both a fixed asset and a consumable. We'll talk about the difference between the two. So I'm going to go in here to this, let's go into the 60 kilowatt generator right here. So once you go into the equipment profile, see some tabs at the top here, details, notes, files, collections, and then you'll see there's alerts. Okay, so again, this requires that subscription and of course the products and the roles in order to access this. If you don't have access, if you try to click on it, it's going to say access denied. So you're going to click on the alerts. If there's any that's created, you'll see them listed here. Right now, no results. So if you need to create an alert, simply click on the plus button, top right. You're going to get the add new alert form. From here, you'll see that the three at the top here are required. So you have to select the alert type. So what kind of alert are you looking at creating? You'll see we have a list here that you can select from. So if this, let's say this generator needs to go in for repair, you can click on the repair option and then when is the repair need to be done by. So this is the trigger date for the alert notifications. So you got to choose a future date. So in this case, I'm going to choose, it's going to be repaired by July 1st because we need it for an event that's happening for that weekend. Okay, so I'm going to select July 1st. And then what is the message? So this is going to be the message that's going to appear within the record itself in here. It's also going to appear within the alerts database, which is over here in your left menu. And it's also going to be the alert message that's going to populate through that email notification, including any additional notes here. So you want to make sure the alert message is short and brief. It doesn't allow a lot of characters here. So anything above above and beyond, like your normal 25 characters, I would put it down here under the notes section. So in this case, this is a repair. What is this repair for? So it's going to go in the shop, needs, I don't know, maybe it's not turning on anymore, needs to get inspected. Okay. I'm just going to put some notes in here. So notes what's happening. So doesn't turn on, doesn't, um, whatever you want to put in there. Okay, so whatever notes you want to put, you have up to 512 characters. So you could put dates in there, if it went to the shop, which repair shop did it go to, when it was sent in. You can put all those different details within the notes section. Underneath this is a frequency. So you can set up a reoccurrence for any alert that you set up. You might see those more set up with like inspections and maintenance. Maybe there's a quarterly maintenance schedule for this particular item, and you want to set that up for every 3 months. So this frequency is how many, and then this is the duration. So if there's a month base, we're going to do every quarter. So we'll do every 3 months in this case. And then we're going to choose July 1st. So in this case, it's 3 months later that you're going to see this. So you'll see October 1st, it's going to auto generate another alert for October 1st. Okay, so either when this expires or when it completes is when that next trigger happens. Okay, so regardless, if you don't complete it and it expires, the next one will automatically be created by the system since you have our frequency set up. So these are the parameters that I was talking about earlier, is that you as a user can choose to set up these parameters for the reoccurrence or if it's a one-time deal. Okay. Click save and it's going to create that alert. And it's going to be a pending. So you'll see that it's in orange text. So any pending alerts are going to be in orange text. You'll see that there is 3 different statuses: pending, expired, and completed. So the completed and expired will be in black text. So pending is the only one that's going to be in orange text. So when you're in the alert here, you can create as many as you need to, right? So maybe there's maintenance that needs to be done. There's repair, there's maybe recalibration, whatever it is that you need for this, you can set as many up as you need to for this. Now, this is not a work order system, but if you needed to put something in place for when actionable items that have to be completed, you can create all of them as different alerts. Now, when you have a pending alert, you'll see that there is an edit function to the right. So it's the only time you'll see the edit function is during pending statuses. So if I need to edit this in for any particular reason, I can click the edit button. It's going to pull up the edit alert form again, and I can go in and make any changes to this. If I need to move the date further or closer, change the alert type, I can add my additional notes in here if I want to, and then click save. This is also the only way you can delete it, is from here as well. Okay, so for this particular alert. So any user that has access to this record and has access to manage alerts can go in and edit the information. Okay. Now, what if you need to complete this alert? All you need to do is to click on the record itself, and that will allow you to complete that alert. So you could put in the date when it was completed by. Again, you can't do any future dates. You could do any past dates. And then the note. So any completion notes. So what was done, what are the results, anything that you need to put in there. Now, you don't have to put in there that it was done by you. The system will know that's done by you because you're logged in as your own user. So it'll mark that within the reports that you completed this on this date, and then any of the notes that was entered in at that time. You'll find those within the reports. Okay. So that is a alert that was made for a fixed asset. Let's take a look at a consumable. So consumables, Very similar in that fashion, except there's one additional trigger that is done automatically by the system, and it's based off of your stock threshold that you set. I'm just going to look at, let's take a look at batteries here. Okay, so this is a consumable item. That does not look like a battery. But in here, you'll see that when you'll see that the stock is available, but what we're looking more for is all the other information, which you'll find at the bottom for consumables. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. So I'm going to go into the edit function here just so that we can go into the consumable tab. So the quantity on hand, so as you know, as you start working with inventory and you either start issuing, returning, and consuming, this quantity is going to decrement. It's going to decrease as it's being used up. Max in stock, what's the total amount that you should ever have on hand? And then your reorder quantity. So this is where that automated trigger happens, is with your reorder quantity. So how does this work? So the system is going to look at your quantity on hand and your reorder quantity. So this is your threshold, your minimum threshold that you should have on hand. So our on hand should never go below 25. Once this quantity goes under 25, so let's say today we issued a bunch of them and now our quantity on hand is only 24. Okay, so we've got 24 on hand. So tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Eastern, you're going to receive an email notification if you're subscribed to it saying that, hey, your AAA batteries 20 count is below the reorder threshold of 25 and you need to reorder. So that's a system generated one. The system does it automatically for you because you set up the parameters by adding in a reorder quantity right here. If you don't have anything right here, you'll never get those reorder notifications, and you can set those up custom if you'd like. Okay. So that's the only time you'll receive those automated ones by the system. They'll auto create those. The other ones that you'll of course receive is those reoccurrences that you set up. So those are the two automated ones that's done automatically by the system. So that's how the reorder quantity one works. I'm going to click cancel on that. And then you'll see under alerts here, if there was any in here, you'd see them listed. If there's a bunch of them in here, you'll see them populate through. There's probably a lot, that's why it's downloading. A lot of them in here, and there is. So you'll see on here that there's a bunch on here. Again, if you don't manage this the correct way, it can really get out of hand on here. So one thing to note about the reorder threshold is that if you don't do anything and take any actions on that notification, you'll continue to receive those automated alerts on a daily basis. So get them every single day until you do something about it. So as you can see in here, there's a bunch of them in here. It looks like someone probably set up, yeah, 1-day reoccurrences in here. So I've been getting a bunch of these on a daily basis, and all of them are expired. Once they're expired, I mean, you can go in and complete them, but you have to complete them one by one. There is no multi-completion on expireds. This just shows you a history of the item that's been on reorder for a long time in this case. And I stopped this. You can see that it stopped back in 2020, so I don't receive any of these anymore by changing the quantity to a higher amount. So I'll talk about some of the things that you can do to stop those notifications from occurring. And we'll go into the alert side so you can really see this. Okay. So that's setting up the triggers for an automated alert notification. So all alerts as you create them are going to be added to this alerts area here, the alerts page. So we created this new, this is with version 3. And this really allows you to truly manage all of your alerts. So you'll see in here, I've got a lot of them. So this is where you're saying that your account can go pretty crazy if you don't manage it correctly. So you'll see on here, I've got about 24,405 alerts. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of them are just expired. But you'll see we do have some counts at the top here with the dashboard at the top here. Number of expiring in 7 days, I've got 21. Number expiring in 30 days, 31. And this is just expired in the last 30 days. So if this was all expired, it's probably going to be in the 20,000 count and adding. I got to do a lot of cleanup with this. This is my training account. But you'll see in here that you can search for a specific alert by name or ID. So again, it's you're looking for the equipment or inventory name or ID. Another way you can search for the items is by pending statuses. So these currently are all completed, but I can go in here and add the pending status. I'm going to look at all my pending statuses. So this data table works exactly like any of the other data tables on the people and equipment side. So you as the user controls what you can see for columns. Top right, there is the columns button, and that's where you can go in and enter whatever you need in here if you want to view it at a glance. So if it's completed and you want to look at the completed date, completed notes, feel free to do that. You want to look at the alert message, you can see that there as well. So again, you can add whatever you need to, any notes in there. If there's a duration and frequency, you can add all of that information in here and click close. It's going to update and then you can see your information. So there's an alert message, if it was completed by, who was completed by, and then your completed notes. Okay. So I'm going to add an alert status. I'm going to look at all my pending. So in this case, I can go in here and do a filter, look up my pending. You'll see that the text in here is going to turn orange because again, all of my pending statuses are going to be orange text. And there they are. So these are all pending in this case. So these are all the items that's listed here. You'll see that some of these are repeats because it could be different alert notifications that were set up. Like for example, this ambulance AMB1. You'll see that it was an inspection done and maintenance done. So the two different alert notifications that was set up for one piece of equipment. Now to complete an alert, so if you saw earlier, we did that within the record, but you can also do it from the alerts page. Do not click the item name. You'll see the item names are in blue text. The blue text basically means it's a link that'll redirect you to that record itself. If you want to do a individual completion, you have to click on any of the orange text within that line item. So if it's this ambulance right here with Franklin County EMS maintenance, it was all done. So in this case, oil change due, and we verify we completed the oil change. You can click on the record and then you can complete it. So you'll see in there, complete alert, complete date. Let's put in today's date. And then you can put mileage, whatever it is that you need. Oh, there's a lot of mileage in here. Whatever mileage in there that was done. And then when the next maintenance is due, you can put whatever notes that you want to put in there. And then go ahead and click save. And it's going to complete this. And then it's going to create the next one. Okay. So that one's done. Once it completes, it removes it from the alert list because it's no longer expiring within the time frame set at the top there. So that again is completing the individual alert. From this page, you can also do a multi-completion. Multi-completions can only be done on pending alerts. So let's say we're looking at the same item. I'm going to look at these ambulances in this case. I can click on the ambulances in this case. If I want to look at all of them, I can search by ID number. I can filter by ID. So AMB1, that might be a little bit easier in this case. I can go in here and AMB1. I'm going to pull all of them up, and there's 4 of them. And they'll see that there's two different records, one with Pine FD, so fire department, and one with Moosewood EMS. So again, similar types of alerts that were set up, maintenance and inspection. So if I want to complete these two right here, I can click the checkbox next to the records. So once you click the checkbox next to the records, you'll see that there is a check mark icon that appears to the top right. This is a multi-completion. Once you click on that, you'll see it says complete multiple alerts. Now, in the complete multiple alerts form, you do not get the rest of the information. All you get is a completed date and completed note. Okay, so this is going to put one date and the same note for all records that's selected. So you got to be very careful when you do a multi-completion is that does the notes and the date of completion match with every single record that you've selected. So you can put whatever notes you want to put in here. Click save. And then it's going to complete those two, mark them as complete, put them on the report that they've been completed, and removes it from the list. Okay. Now, if we wanted to go into the record itself, we can. If you click on the ambulance, you'll see in here the record name or the item name. It'll redirect me to that record, and I can go to the alerts. And within the alerts, I can go in there and I can take a look at all of them. So you'll see there's more than just the two in there. Because again, I had a pending filter in there, but I didn't put expired. If I put pending and expired, or I just looked by that ID number, I would have got all of the other ones as well too. So here's all the expired ones. So it looks like there is a oil change tire rotation reoccurrence every 2 months and then a full vehicle inspection every 3 months reoccurrence setup for this. So this keeps going until I stop it. Now, in this case, for any of these, I do want to talk about when it comes to reoccurrences, how do you break the chain on this? So if you wanted to stop this from reoccurring, you can just edit the existing ones and then remove the reoccurrence and it stops the reoccurrences from happening. You can't go back and backdate it because these are all expired already. You can't delete them or you can't edit them. All you can do is complete them. So that's the only way is to go into the pending and then you can change the frequency in this case. Okay, and remove that frequency. So it's no longer going to reoccur every 3 months. Same thing for the oil change. I'll stop that reoccurrence in this case. And then you can complete it and then you could be done with that one. So it stops that chain. Another one is if you delete it and then recreate it, you can do that as well too. So you can delete that pending alert, recreate a new one, and then not add a reoccurrence in there. So those are a couple different ways that you can manage these alerts. But just know that with the way that it's set up, if the chain is broken in any part of this process, whether through a edit or delete, those reoccurrences will stop. Any questions so far and what's been covered? Yes, Zach, question. Feel free to unmute and you can ask your question.
Sorry, I had to step away for a second. Could you explain what the frequency is again? For some of these alerts, I saw frequency 3. Wasn't quite sure on what that meant.
Yes, so when you create an alert, you have the option to set up a reoccurrence. So that reoccurrence right here, like right here, I have this one set up for frequency 3. So basically it's every 3 months. And this inspection alert is going to recreate. So it's going to trigger another alert that's going to happen 3 months later. So October 15th is when the next one, the next pending alert is going to happen. So it's going to populate in here as a alert notification that action item has to be completed. So it's not required. It's an option. You can set it up. I don't recommend daily. If you want to set up daily ones, if there's truly daily ones that you want to take a look at on a daily basis, but if you miss that one day, you'll have a bunch of expireds in there. The ones that mostly you'll see in here are going to be month and year. So
Awesome.
completely optional.
That answered my question. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Any other questions? Now there is two other areas that you're going to see alerts. So one area is going to be on the inventory side. So I know I talked about how you can create an alert within the equipment record. I do want to talk about how you can create an inventory alert on the return side when you're returning inventory. So that's going to be for fixed assets and fixed assets only. So here's another area. So for this section right here, the inventory module, you must have an additional role and also be assigned an additional product in order to access this area. I'm going to go back to my profile up here. I'm going to show you this. So under products, right here, you must also have the inventory/app. So that must also be assigned to you. And then not only that, you have to have a role that allows you to and manage and have permissions to this. So any of the administrator roles plus the inventory/app role. So there's a specific role in here called inventory/app, which I had earlier for this individual. So this role right here, inventory/app user. So this is a typical combination of roles that you would have for someone that's just an inventory manager, because what it does is it restricts this user to just managing their inventory. So what they get access to is the equipment and then the inventory module as well as the inventory app if they choose so to download that application on their mobile device and log in. So this is a very typical combination that we'll see. All other areas within this is going to be on lockdown. And I apologize, it's equipment, alerts, and inventory. But all other areas will be locked down to them. So let's walk through the inventory side on here. Some of you may have seen this in our last training that we walked through the inventory module. So this might be a good review to see this. So the inventory module, what is this section? So this is the area that you're going to see a list of all your equipment, all your inventory that's been assigned, who they've been assigned to, which organization do they belong to, and the quantity that's been assigned. And then from here, you also have the ability to do an issuance. You can assign them equipment, assign them inventory. You can return anything that's ready to be returned, or you can consume. So this is specifically for consumables. So it closes that cycle on your consumables, meaning that they no longer have that in their possession. So maybe you gave them a bunch of hazmat rolls and absorbent rolls, and they have 5 on hand. Maybe they used up 2. So you want to mark in the system that they used up 2. They still have 3 on hand. So you don't want to issue them anymore if they still already have some on hand. So that just really closes that cycle out here and gives you that preview. So we're going to go on to the return side. I'm going to show you this here on the return side. So the return side on here, you have 2 options. You can select the person or you can select the fixed asset. There is a scanning option in here if you have a USB scanner that's configured for scan mode within SalamanderLive. We're not going to cover that in today's training, but I will point you to a video that we did 2 months ago that talked about all the different scan options. So I'm just going to go in here and select a fixed asset in this case. So I'm going to select a fixed asset. So I'm just going in here. It's going to pull up all our fixed assets that's been issued out to a person. So I'm just going to choose this 800 MF radio. I'm going to click on that and click save. It's going to find the person that's currently assigned to and place it into my cart here. So someone assigned this to a police cruiser. Okay, normally we don't assign this to equipment. In this case, it would normally be a person in this case. So someone created a piece of equipment as a personnel record. That's why it's populating here. So bad example. Normally you don't see this. But in this case, you'll see on the return asset side, there is a change status option. So the only time that you'll see the option to create an alert is when you change the status to out of service, missing, or being service. So this is what I was talking about, what triggers an alert notification status change. So if I put this out of service, you're going to see I can put notes on why I'm marking this as out of service with this return. So maybe the radio's staticky, it's muffled, whatever it is, a sticky button. I can send a notification to the person, so the contact person that's on this account. I can send it to myself. I can send it to someone else in this case. And then you'll see that there's another tab on here to create an alert. So I'm marking this out of service. So in this case, I'm going to mark it out of service. What needs to be done? So what is the actionable item that needs to be done with this? So in this case, it needs to go in repair. So if it's going into repair or it's being disposed of, whatever it is that's happening with this, I can create one right away. So in this case, repair. I could put the date in. What is the date that it has to be repaired by? I'm going to put it for a month. And then your notes. Okay. Right. Send it to IT, send it to whoever it is, right? Put your notes in here and then click the return. It adds it to your return cart with your status change and your notes. Okay, so you have to complete this transaction in order for the alert notification to be created. Okay, so I'm going to click return next and finalize that return. This is where you can capture a signature. You can put the return by optional and then you can email. So in this case, this person doesn't have an email in this case, but if I wanted to, I can email a return invoice, or I apologize, receipt, so I can know that this return was completed. Click the return, and now it's going to complete that return, and this radio 01 is going to have a alert that's been created. I can go to areas right here. I can go to alerts. In this case, I might find it in here. So here it is, the one that was just created today, radio 01. Go into the record. So it's automatically out of service in this case. I can go to my alerts right here. And there it is, send in for repair. So that's another way that an alert can be created is through the return process. Any questions on that? Okay, no questions? All right. There's one more area that I want to talk about before we go into the reports, which is the calendar. Rarely talk about this, but the calendar, something new. Earlier this, I would say last year that we released the calendar function. So the calendar in this case is going to show three pieces of information. Any active events, so you have to have an event started. Any plans, so you have to have the plans feature, so you have to subscribe to that. And of course, any alerts. So that again is with the asset management. So as alerts are created, you'll see it on the calendar. You can look at the month. Right now we have the month on for, and then you can look at the week if you want to. You look at the day. On the day, there's two on here. So these are reorders. So in this case, I can click on the record itself. It's going to take me to the alert list. Okay, so you got that option. So that's the calendar. You can go to the list view as well too if you want to. So the list view, it's going to look at for the week of the June 14th to the 20th. So again, you're going to look at all your orange ones. So we try to kind of color code this so that you can reference that orange is going to be related to inventory. Okay. So it just tells you there's a bunch of them that are within this time frame. So just a quick and easy way for you to look at it on a calendar if you are wanting to look at the calendar option. And again, it takes you into your alert list, and you can see it from the alert list, and then you can filter it in here as you need to. And then go through that same process of completing or going into the record itself by clicking the item name to edit or complete it individually in there. Now let's talk about the reports in this case. There is an alert report in here. So in this alert report, I'm going to pull this one. This is a CSV report. So this is everything. So if you pull the alert report from the alerts page, you get everything. All completed, all expired, excuse me, all pending. I'll show you another area that you'll be able to view an alert report that you can add some additional filters in. So this is going to show all 20,000 records that I have. The other report is going to be found under equipment. So if you go to equipment, and then top right middle icon is the reports button. And then within that, you'll see a similar alert report, CSV, except this time you have the option to set statuses and alert type. So if you want to be able to not look at all your records because you have a ton of records like I do, you don't want to filter through the CSV report, you can go through this option instead. I want to look at all my pendings, or I want to look at all my completed, and I can choose specifically what ones. So I'm looking at all my maintenance that's been completed, all my inspections that are completed, or I can look at all if I wanted to, and then filter out the report once it's pulled. Okay, so these are all my completed in here. So a lot of completed in here. Complete. You'll see who was completed by. A lot of these are obviously me. So those are the two different reports that's available. Any questions on the reports or anything that we covered? All right, we have some time. So any questions overall on inventory? All right, well, no questions. Well, that concludes today's training then on inventory alerts. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'll put my contact information up here. So please reach out to training@salamanderlive.com if you have any questions. You can also go into your profile at the top, click the help button, and then you can see we've got some frequently asked questions, the learning center, and then create ticket, which will send us a ticket on your issue. Now we did add a bunch of new tutorials in here. So I've got the updated guides in here. So it's the very first one that's highlighted in here. So you'll see in here the asset management. So this is the one that you'll want for what we just covered today. If you click on the asset management user guide, we have a specific section on alerts in here. So here it is, section 3.4. You'll be able to go through everything I just walked through today. And then under here, webinar recordings, any of the ones that we talked about. So if you were interested in scanning, that's the one that we just did. Talked about how to scan into the inventory module. If you're just interested in the whole inventory module as a whole, how to assign, return, consume, there's this video as well too. And if you're interested in the inventory app side, how to do the issue return, we've got the inventory app module here as well. So these are just past recordings of trainings that we've done. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I will be running this training again one more time. So if you feel like there's others within your department that could benefit from this training, please have them join me on the 24th at 10 a.m. Central. So that's next week, Wednesday. Just have them email me and I can forward them the invite. Other than that, thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Thank you all so much. Appreciate